Now the moment we've all been waiting for.
I am Nate Riggle, and you are listening to The Way of the Bonfire. All right, welcome in. We are on the podcast that focuses on bringing the world together in the most meaningful and lasting ways possible to lead to better growth so more people can stop waiting to make the most of their lives. And what a better way to do that than focusing on connection and how to get a foothold in those areas of your life. You are on part 3 of 5 in this limited series on footholds of connection. So if you didn't listen to episode 1 and 2, I recommend going back and doing that. If you just want to dive in here and you don't have time to go figure all that out right now, then fine. I would still go back to part 1, the connection with yourself. You have to have that foundation before you can do all the other ones. So consider that one. And before we dive in here to part 3, just a quick reminder, when you leave a rating on this podcast, it means the world to me. Love it if you go do that so we can keep pumping out the good stuff. All right, part 3, now that you're improving your connection and relationship with yourself, which was part 1, and you're improving your ability to find and select good guides or the best guides and improve your connection to those guides, it should be pretty obvious that you can do a lot more by involving others than you can by trying to go it alone and do it by yourself. It's also true that you can do worse. I'm very aware of that by involving others if you or they have no intention or experience in building trust and cultivating connection. This is a misleading foothold that gets even the best of us, even the ones that seem to have it all together, if we don't do part 3 right. It's the kind that looks solid, but will snap off it if you carelessly and blindly put all your weight on it. And if you're having a hard time with that analogy, it's because you didn't listen to episode 1. And this is all about how sometimes to really get the momentum when we're stuck in life, we just need a foothold. And connection is a great place to get that foothold. So anyway, we each need a team, but a team is not a team without trust, growth, and a strong shared connection. That's just a group of people who know each other and might be working on the same thing. The reason it feels like safety in that setting or a solid foothold is because it tends to work for a while, sometimes a long while, and it gets more done than one person usually is able to by themselves. So we see the value in the group, but I'm telling you that this lack of focus on trust and connection in a group is not something that can continue, and it's actually going to cause all sorts of problems if it does. I've only ever seen it fall apart when there is just a shared goal, but not enough trust or connection or shared growth as a must, being one of the key ingredients. Even if you have some of the same values like honesty and hard work, it's not enough to hold things together. It feels like a good thing. There's usually a measurable accomplishment that you can observe, but I promise it's not going to hold unless you reinforce the connection between the parts or the people in the group. And this is where the bigger they are, the harder they fall applies the most. And I've gotten to the point where I'm able to predict a downfall coming with 100% accuracy when it's obvious that no one in the group is acknowledging the need for better connection and trust and shared growth, or no one is actively trying to do something about it. And this is any type of group, whether it's 2 people or 20 or 20 million. This could be a marriage or a family or a team or department or a sports team or a platoon or a country. Without constant focus, first and foremost, on building trust and goodwill for the people in the group, it doesn't matter if you win a battle or 2. If you don't get this part right, you will lose the war. And there are so many times I've seen this happen. I've seen the great ones just be all the way up there feeling like they got it all together and they figured it out, but they didn't figure that part out. And that might even be some of the ones we see now, but that's just a snapshot in time. And all those battles and victories and unfortunate casualties that tend to happen along the way will be meaningless. Yes, Some greedy opportunists will come away with a perceived gain, and there'll probably be no damage to show for it. And they'll think they were just smarter or better or faster or better positioned or more patient or deserving or blessed, but they leave a wake of collateral damage behind them regardless. And whether they are aware of that or whether or not someone's calling them on it, that doesn't matter. It's going to negatively affect them in a way they just can't see yet. How, you ask? 1,000 possible ways, but the one that is always true is who they become or don't become, or what they learn or they don't learn. This is the landmine that is just sitting there waiting for us to try to selfishly grab the treasure and run and just kind of justify it. There's nothing wrong with wanting the prize or wanting to win. Winning increases confidence and visibility and opportunity and attracts attention and opens doors, whether you do it the right way or the wrong way. It's just a brutal truth because we can't often see how someone won or how they got there. The problem is, if you do it the right way, you can take that into the next level and be ready for even greater growth. But if you do it the wrong way, you will consciously or subconsciously take note that that way still worked. So you take that way, that wrong way, into the next level, thinking you don't need to change your way, but you're playing a bigger game now because you won. It took you there. The victory took you to this bigger game. The stakes are higher and there's more visibility and more people who got there by actually winning the right way that are now all around you on your new level. So when your wrong way breaks, and it will break, you will feel more pain and suffering and loss than if you had lost earlier from doing it the wrong way and learned why it was wrong. You want an example? Let's go with a basketball team. You join a basketball team, but everyone thinks it's just about getting points on the scoreboard and getting the ball in the basket. This is not that far-fetched. I have kids and I've seen this happen in different settings in soccer, basketball, like every sport. So everyone just goes for rebounds or focuses on stealing the ball away from the other team. And all they're doing is just shooting the ball and rarely passing. Some of the teammates get less points than others, and that some might perceive that as a loss, but the team still celebrates when they all win. So everybody's kind of like, I don't say anything wrong here, especially because like all the players are getting after it. And the teammate who makes the most baskets gets lots of praise and attention because of their points scored. That teammate feels strong and confident and maybe even kind of let it go to their head that they're superior in talent. And maybe they are superior in talent. Because we don't see how the win happened, they get selected for the varsity squad. They're playing at a new level and try to just be the best by hoarding the ball, but the competing team exploits that because this is a new level and they steal the ball constantly. And it's easy because that person didn't have a connection with their team. They weren't passing or reading things the right way. They just were trying to stick to the old way, winning the wrong way that they learned before. The new team they're on gets frustrated with this new player's lack of awareness and team mindset. The other team scores more points because they pass the ball. And this player with confirmed superior talent loses. Now this player that is used to being praised and adored is not only losing, but his team hates him and his coach is losing his patience. I kind of get sick of sports analogies because like there's just everything's sports. And so if you want a non-sports real life example, it's about to get kind of heavy, maybe hit a little too close to home, but here we go. You're married. You're trying to provide a good life for your wife and kids. You work extra hours to get that promotion. The promotion gives you more responsibilities. You thought it was going to be easier. You thought things were going to get better when you got the promotion. You try to just take care of it all on your own. Or maybe you decide to delegate a lot of your stuff to your subordinates or your peers because that's what they're paid for. That's what they're there for. And you get another promotion. Everything's going good, right? Your wife starts to feel like you like your work more than her, but you don't pick up on that. And I'm not going to get into all the reasons why you don't pick up on that, but part of it has to do with the connection, right? Your employees start to think you're just a typical boss building a success on the backs of his hardworking underlings, but you don't pick up on that because you're not creating an environment where it feels safe to be transparent. You might talk about that and say all the right things. You like the feedback or you want to have kind of the open door policy, but it doesn't feel that way. Your peers are nice to your face because they're being professional and strategic, but they have more trust and connection with each other from purposely working on building that, Not to advance, but because it gives them meaning and belonging and enjoyment in every day by being connected to each other and trusting and kind of having these people that they can rely on and have each other's backs, regardless of whether it's at work or elsewhere. And so they naturally start sharing ideas and best practices with each other because they enjoy helping each other. Their employees are just happier together and having more fun. They produce more, and you think like you've been doing everything right. So you're like, they must have some unfair advantage, or it's easy to start shifting to this. There's an unlevel playing field because it seems too easy for them. Like we got to make this right. So you start feeling cheated, and you make yourself feel better by calling out all the injustices and people playing favorites and cliques and blah, blah, blah. And then one of those peers advances to the head of the company. He chooses everyone but you to be a part of the executive team. Your employees start backing off their output, and you follow protocol and what's in the business handbook here, hold them accountable to their numbers. And some of them fail to make it happen and have to be let go. Some of them get better through fear and they promote, and then they leave for greener pastures as soon as they see an opening. And you're feeling slighted for kind of the lack of loyalty. Your wife is angry and your kids are distant, and you do pick up on it this time because it's getting worse. They don't know how to explain why without offending you. You get stressed and sad. You work harder. You push everyone harder. You can make this right, but they burn out. You can't understand why. You blame it on the younger generation's lack of work ethic. You resent your wife for not understanding how hard you're working for this family. You're doing it all for them. You resent your peers for not helping you like they helped each other. You resent your employees for not supporting you after all you've done for them. Here's the thing. They didn't do anything wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. It's the lack of priority in building trust and connection that got neglected or written off as a nice to have that caused the bottom to fall out of this thing. Don't try to summarize this with the word culture. That is a word that means too many things that could take our eye off the ball for this foothold of connection. So the challenge for part 3 of 5 is to take stock of who is on your team or who you want to add to your team and decide what you can do to continuously build the team connection stronger. I do not care if you are the designated leader of the team. This is about the individual doing something instead of waiting for it to happen. This is not about forming an alliance like we're on some reality show or a preference. It's about building and growing and trusting connected relationships with the people we want to build something with. And that thing that we're building could be anything. It could be building a company, a family, a movement, a kingdom, an empire, a club, a collective, a message, a story, a path, a life, an impact, a result, a revolution, a resistance, a difference, a safe haven, a community, a neighborhood, a product, a bonfire. So who's on your team? Your spouse, your significant other, your family members, your coworkers, your business partner, your children, your siblings, a supporter, a mentor, a teacher, a coach, a friend, a pastor, or leader, or a neighbor. When was the last time you connected with them, these people that you want to have on your team and you want to build something with? How did you connect with them? When was the last time and how? Who are 5 people on your team you can connect with more often and build more trust with? What activity can you both do together or as a group that you both enjoy that will create a fond memory or tradition or ritual that you look forward to? Like something that you're not just doing because it needs to be done or because it's part of our shared goal or vision or requirements. What can you do to strengthen their trust in you a tiny bit more? Doesn't need to be like some grand gesture. Just what's one little thing you could do to strengthen that trust a tiny bit more today or this week? If you don't just think about this, but actually move from passive pondering to activity here, it will immediately start to have an impact. And if you commit to keep doing it every day or week or month, at least, you won't be able to predict or believe how much changes in your favor and in your relationships and in how things feel and where they're going. I dare you to get better at this. And by the way, if you want to really make sure you actually do something here and that you don't just try it out, but have some way of guaranteeing you stay on track, I can help you get the habit installed for good. Just go to changewithnate.com and find a time on my calendar for a free strategy session. All the most amazing changes and breakthroughs that have ever happened to anyone or the world started with a meaningful conversation. Think about that. In summary, so far, foothold 1 of connection is connect better with yourself. Foothold 2, connect with the best guides you can find. Foothold 3, identify who you want on your team and build that trust and connection. We'll see you on part 4, baby. Go get 'em. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode. I love the chance to make your day better in some way, whether that ends up being just a quick reset that you needed to change things up, or even just a laugh or some fresh perspective. If you're getting value out of it, can you please do me a favor and share it with someone else? Because as more people find and listen to the show, I'm able to bring more good stuff more often. It is the fuel to the bonfire. Also, I'd love to hear your feedback and any thoughts or ideas or questions you have so we can be more connected and make the show even better with your input and your inspiration. The quickest way to do that is to send a message to my Instagram handle at Way of the Bonfire, which is also included in the show notes. And if you just want to avoid accidentally scrolling on social media, you can send me an email at nate@wayofthebonfire.com. And you know it, but make sure you click that follow button so you can catch new episodes as soon as they're available. Keep tending the bonfire, and we'll see you on the next one.